It's time for MacBreak Weekly, episode 193. The iPad 3G is out. Is it really unlimited download? We'll take a look. We'll also talk about Apple buying Siri. What does that mean? And HP buying Palm. Is there another competitor in the mobile space? All that's ahead. MacBreak Weekly is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
It's time for MacBreak Weekly, episode 193 for May 4th, 2010. It's made of people. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by Go-To Training. Improve learning, participation, and access to training programs and save a bunch with Go-To Training. For a free trial, visit gototraining.com. And by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your new account, go to squarespace.com/MacBreak. And by Audible.com. To download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audible.com/MacBreak. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show that covers everything you need to know about Macintosh and the Apple world and the iPad. And joining us today, an unusual cast of characters. It seems Andy Anako's on a boat in Bermuda. Alex Lindsay's in Zimbabwe. Merlin Mann, I don't know what his excuse is, but hey, good news. That means we can bring in fun people like Chris Breen, the Mac Daddy.
I never get to go anywhere.
You've been on
I'm
cruises.
thrilled to be here.
Have you been on any of those MacMania cruises ever?
I have. I've been on a couple of them.
I thought you had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Bermuda sounds okay. I'm looking forward to next year.
I did the Baltic with you.
That's right. I remember that you and Derek Street coming back way late, right?
Yeah, it was actually Ben Long and I were having to dash to get on the. I mean, we had to leap over the dock across the water to get on the boat.
The boat was sailing.
And you were up there on like the fourth
I was waving.
Deck.
Going,
Slackers!
Breen, Ben, get back here. Also, it's good to have you. Thank you for joining us today, Chris. Also joining us from San Francisco, she's visiting, all in pink, pretty in pink. It's Justine. Hello, Justine.
Hello, how are you?
Justine Ezarik. Very well. Haven't seen you in ages.
It's been a while, I know, and I am not on a boat, so.
But you are on YouTube like crazy.
Yes, I spend too much time there.
You are, and you got a high-def camera. You don't use an iSight anymore.
I know. I've upgraded.
I'm impressed. Well, you know, it's funny. I was talking. Somebody asked me on the radio what kind of camera to get for his video podcast. I said, well, Justine just uses an iSight. And then when they went to your site, and it's like high def. And I thought, oh, shoot.
I used to. I mean, I still use it for some things. It still works, but it's time to upgrade.
You're too fancy now for that. You got all the parody videos and everything. I just love those.
Thank you.
Are you Beyonce in the last one? I can't remember.
I think I did Kesha was the last one.
Yes, I don't see. I know they're famous, but I don't know who they are. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you.
Thank you.
And from all the way from Liverpool, from the UK, in his anamorphic studio, looking fine, Don McAllister from Screencasts Online.
Yeah, hi, Liam.
Great to see you. How are the iPad screencasts coming? Have you figured out a way to capture the screen yet?
No, it's a bit of a letdown, actually. No, you can only really capture the output from the Keynote application at the moment. So I'm going to have to switch across to live camera work, which is okay. Actually, because the screen's so bright and if you control the reflections, it's not too bad. But yeah, I would really like to be able to capture the screen itself. Of course, if I can get hold of the developers for particular applications, I can always run it in the simulator.
Right.
So that's what I did for the most recent one, and that works really well.
I'm curious because we want to do, we're interested in doing an iPad show. And I think I'm definitely doing an iPad show. I'm too excited about the iPad now. That way we can segregate all the iPad nonsense into one show. But I'm trying to figure out how we're going to shoot it. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to make a green screen cove in here. I think Sarah Lane's going to co-host it with me, and maybe Tom Merritt too. And we're going to, because we're all iPad fanatics, we're going to get a green screen cove. And then when we're showing an app, we'll be in the app. But that doesn't solve this problem. How do you shoot the app? We'll have to figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, live camera at the moment, that's the only way to do it.
And if you do it in the emulator, does it look like it's really the app?
It does, yeah. Well, it is the app itself, and you can do clever things like put an iPad frame around it. So if you want to, make it look as though it's actually running on the iPad, you can do that. I experimented with because the iPad is obviously you have portrait and landscape mode. I actually experimented with doing a screencast that ran on the iPad itself. And it actually turns, so you actually physically have to turn the iPad, and that's great.
Does that work? I got to try that.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I did it for Things. There's if you go, if people want to go across to the website, there's a special version of the Thing, just a small 7-minute Things video I did, and that's formatted for the iPad. And actually, you do rotate the iPad while you're watching the screencast. It works very well.
How clever! That's screencastsonline.com.
Yes,
that's really clever. All right, we're gonna have to steal some things from Don McAllister. He's figured it all out.
I'm always here to help.
So the big, I guess the big story, a couple of big stories. one is Apple has sold now 1 million iPads of all type, 300,000, I think, of the 3G. Apple points out that that's much more than the iPhone sold in its first outing. What do you think, Chris Breen? Is that apples to apples?
No, I mean, it's not a big surprise. When Apple says, oh, look, we sold twice as many as we sold of the original iPhone. Well, the iPhone at that point was an untested device. People didn't have any idea how Apple was going to fare in this space. Before it was released, a lot of people said, oh, well, Apple's never going to be able to compete in this space because there's Nokia and there's Motorola and there's all these other companies we don't care about anymore. Now that we have the iPad, it really is sort of iPhone 3.0. It's been tested through the iPhone. It's been tested through the iPod Touch. So people are familiar with the interface.
And there are 200,000 apps.
Yeah, there are 200,000 apps. So it isn't like this is an unknown quantity and people say, gee, I wonder what this is going to do. We're all pretty clear what it's going to do. So I don't think it's at all surprising that they've sold 1 million in this amount of time.
Are you surprised, Justine? 1 million?
I'm not surprised at all. I know I bought 2. I did buy the Wi-Fi when it first came out.
You're a punter. I've bought 8 now. I have 8.
Well, I'm not going that far.
I had to use dummy accounts. I had to all sorts of things.
I'm such a big fan of it, and it's not really like you're buying an iPhone, so there's no commitment to pay monthly. So I think for a lot of people, they didn't want to get an iPhone because they were already on Verizon or some other carrier. And with the iPad, it's just like kind of a big iPhone that does sort of everything, but you don't have to pay the monthly fee. So I think for a lot of people, that was kind of one of the big issues with the iPhone.
Yeah. By the way, I'm being told by the chat room that I said this show is about all things Microsoft.
You did. I would just think you're joking around.
Did that fool you? Oh, forget it. Let's talk about Windows 7. You don't mind, do you?
Wasn't my idea.
It was not my idea. I like it, that ad they're running now, the Microsoft ad with the French woman in the cafe.
It's pretty funny.
Windows 7, and it's all in French. It was my idea. And then she says, I think I've had too much coffee. Too much French fries. How about you, Don McAllister? You came to this. You're in the UK, so you cannot yet buy the iPad. You came to the States to get one, a Wi-Fi iPad.
Yes.
Do you wish you had the 3G now?
Not really. Not really. I'm one of the people who, well in advance sort of sorted myself out with a MiFi unit. So the intention always was to come across, get the Wi-Fi unit, and just use my MiFi for the connectivity, and that's working really, really well. So I can't really see a need for me at the moment to go down the 3G route. But I have to say, though, I think the figures have surprised me a little bit because I did expect the first sort of tranche of people to actually get the iPad would be those people who actually knew what they wanted to do with it, people who were looking forward to it. And the fact that there's over 1 million of those people who, I don't think many people actually took it sort of on spec and just thought they'd buy it and see what it was like. I think most people who actually bought it did actually want it and could see where it fitted in with their particular workflow or within their lifestyle. So it's a slight surprise to me that so many people actually have bought it, so early on. I think now that it's out there in the wild and people will start to see it being passed around and start to use it themselves and see how those people who knew what it was about now start to use it, I think you'll probably see, even more. The figures will just explode now from this point on, I would imagine.
Well, it could go either way. I mean, it could be that most of the iPads were, the first 300,000 were bought sight unseen. Nobody had seen one, so that was just like the crazy Apple people who buy anything. And then the 3Gs, nobody had tried the 3Gs, so another 300,000 kind of on spec. I think there were a lot of people who didn't buy the Wi-Fi one because they knew they wanted the 3G one. So more than half of those 1 million iPads were sold to people who hadn't tried one. So I suppose it's possible, if you want it, you could argue this, that maybe the sales will now die because all these people just drank the Kool-Aid, and now that they've got it, it's going to not take off. Does that even seem possible?
I mean, it's hard to say that people haven't tried it because, I mean, pretty much everyone has touched an iPhone or tried an iPhone, and it's pretty much the same OS. It operates the same. I don't know if you guys have seen tons of those YouTube videos of like the little kids that their parents had let them test out the iPad for the first time, and it's so intuitive that they just go through and they're trying to find. Yeah. And they're just trying to find their favorite apps, and it's so cute, but it's so easy to use that I think everyone really knew what they were getting themselves into.
That happened at home. I got the 3G, so I handed off the Wi-Fi iPad to my wife because she uses it in the house, and she said, "Oh, I'll need a lesson to use it." And my son, 15-year-old son, said, "Mom, you already know how to use it. Don't you know how? What are you talking about? How to use it?" And I would be very curious. Has anybody sat somebody down who's never used an iPhone in front of this? One of the things I find difficult is that there is no unified user interface. So each program, I keep tapping with 1 finger, 2 fingers, and 3 fingers to see what it does. And I have one program, a speed test program, that as far as I can tell does nothing. I've tapped it in rubbed my nose on the thing and nothing happens. And I think that might be a little bit of a problem. There isn't a standard user interface once you get into an application.
Yeah, I think that they try. You know, people have had experience with the iPhone and the iPod Touch. You use these things for a while and you understand, okay, well, this generally means do this and this means that. But there are some applications like Sketchbook Pro.
Sketchbook Pro, crazy.
My daughter loves. I love it too. But, I mean, how do I get to the tools? Oh, there's a gesture for that. And what's that again? Then I have to go to help and go, oh, yeah, I have to do
triple tap
this. Yeah, or that or something. Or you tap the little disc and move things around.
And then you go this way or this way and then triple tap.
Yeah. So there are those occasional applications you get in there and just go, I guess they've never seen an iPhone before, or they think that they can do it better in a more interesting way.
But even Apple stumbled on this because I sat for about 20 minutes looking at pages in landscape mode saying, where's the menu? 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 Finally, I literally went to my notebook, and went online. Oh, you have to be in portrait mode, and then the menu just shows up.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they haven't talked about how that happens, but that happens in a lot of applications where you think, this seems very limited to me. Oh, right. Turn it. Rotate. Look, there's a whole new interface element.
Maybe I'll get used to that. But it does belie the notion that it's just, well, any idiot could figure it out, because unless I'm a particularly dense idiot.
It depends on the apps, too. I know there was another application, too, where I could not find the pause to pause the game. And there's no buttons at all. You just touch, like, the top left corner, and it prompts you to pause the game, and I just accidentally happened to hit it. So they need to do something about kind of trying to unify all of them.
There's always the home button. I told my wife, just press, if you get lost, just press the home button. But it's frustrating.
That's the only thing that I've had to do is to remind people, even iPhone and iPod Touch users, they see this big application in front of them, and then they sort of lose and go, oh, what do I do now? I say, just press the home button, and you just say that twice, and then they, oh yeah, of course, yeah. But of course, then you have the problem of which orientation you have the iPad. You know, the first day I got it, I was continually searching, was it on the left or on the right or on the top or on the bottom? So it's perhaps they need 4 home buttons, one on each.
I have taken to locking my rotation actually, because I use it mostly always in the landscape mode. For some reason I just don't feel compelled to use it any other way.
No, I like it in the portrait mode, especially if I'm doing my RSS feeds. You know, I like the fact that you can see a whole page of information when it's in portrait mode.
Yeah.
I find that and emails as well. It's much nicer to read your emails in portrait view rather than landscape view, because you can still navigate the folders by tapping the button in the top corner and having that the overlay pop down.
And a 99-year-old woman in Lake Oswego, Oregon, has now gone viral. I wonder if she's the oldest person ever to go viral.
I saw that.
You're an expert on that, Justine. And would you say that 99 is the oldest person ever to have a viral YouTube video?
I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty cute video, though.
Well, it should be viral. I'm not complaining about it. It's pretty. So she's 99 years old, and they gave her an iPad.
Those are all so awesome.
And they're showing her how to use it. She's using it just like my wife does, by the way, on a pillow. It's kind of cute. This you could make an ad for Apple with this. There have been some anecdotal evidence that it is a lot of seniors getting iPads. I got one for my 80-year-old father-in-law because he was on dial-up and it was paying for him to go downstairs to the big computer downstairs. And I'm hoping that he will just be able to, sit with it upstairs, get the $15 a month. Look at this. It's so cute. He's typing on the keyboard.
I've actually found that I'm pretty fast at typing on here.
Me too. Mm-hmm. Me too. This is a great video, I have to say. I'm sorry, I'm captivated by Virginia and her
It's so
iPad.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's great when you can be 99 years old and still be part of, the modern times.
Well, I have a story along that. So my mother's husband just turned 100 in December.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked him what he wanted for his birthday. And he said, well, I want a Kindle because he needs big type. And that seemed like the proper device for him.
Right.
And I said, well, hang on a second. There's actually something coming out that you may want more than that. So we're considering getting him an iPad.
She wrote a limerick. Apparently she writes limericks. It goes, to this technical ninny, it's clear, in my compromised 100th year, that to read and write are again within sight of this Apple iPad pioneer.
Very nice.
Yeah,
So cute.
Kindle is great. My mom, same thing. My mom's in her 70s, reading on the Kindle. Does this replace the Kindle for you guys?
It's
kind of heavy.
A Kindle fan. Oh God.
You don't? Okay, leaf blower guy first.
Oh, sorry. I can go talk to the leaf blower guy.
No, I love it. I love it. No, because it's real. It's real.
I could turn around. Here, I'm just waving to the leaf blower guy. Just right on the other side of this window.
You know how I know
show
it's
it.
leaf blower guy? Because there
You want
was
to see leaf blower guy?
Yeah, sure. Every time I do a radio show, leaf blower guy comes to my office. Hey, leaf blower guy, you're
So
on.
close.
Hey, well, no wonder we hear him.
Yeah, he's right
You're
out
in the
there.
garden.
He's in with you.
Right outside there.
Leaf blower guy, come back here. Come back here. Show him an iPad.
There's an app for that.
No, I'm okay. That was leaf blower
how
guy.
long
yeah.
before somebody makes a leaf blower app?
No, he's
By
not
the end of the
that
show.
one. Okay.
Until they do the most annoying app, I've already played this for other shows, but I suppose I should play it for you. The most annoying, maybe not the most annoying. It's worse than any fart app could ever be. Have you heard the Kitty Cat keyboard app? Cat piano.
I've seen the video of this.
I've seen
There's
the
actually
video
an app
too.
for it now. Oh,
It has different cats. Here's a warbler. There's this is the best one, angelic meow. You could do
Oh my gosh.
the kitty. This is asthmatic. Fleabag. Anyway. So until leaf blower app, we've got cat piano. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted your anecdote, Chris.
oh no! I said something about the weight of this thing. Kindle is nice and light, and it doesn't bend in the middle. It's kind of big, and after about a chapter or a chapter and a half in bed, my arms get tired. Even though you hold it with your elbows this way and you're reading along, it's not really the perfect in-bed reading device.
So you don't like it for books?
It's great that it can do that, and it's great for comic books because of the color, but I think for long-form books, Kindle may be the better way to go.
I find even a Kindle is too heavy to hold up. I rest it on a pillow or my belly, which is about the same. How about you, Justine? You read?
I still really like to read an actual book,
What?
being such a digital person. I know, but my eyes do get really tired when I'm looking at the iPad for long periods of time, even because I have the same, like the glossy screen monitor, and my eyes just get exhausted from looking at that types of screens, and it's so bright.
So the Kindle might be a better choice for people who really want long.
Definitely, because it's like you're actually reading paper. So
yeah.
I don't think it'll kill the Kindle, but definitely will, I think, hinder some purchases.
You don't have access to a Kindle, do you, Don?
Well, I think we do have them in the UK now.
Oh, you
Actually.
do?
Yeah,
Okay.
they've come out. But I must admit, I'm not a great reader, and the Kindle never really. And I mean, we've had the Sony ebook readers over here for a long time, but
Right.
I've never really although I'm a gadget freak, I've never really wanted to go down the ebook route. But I have to say, I think there's something about having digital possessions, with the iPad, because the iPad is an ebook reader anyway. I sort of get a hankering now to actually get more books onto the iPad just for the sake of having them. I mean, I've got paper books, and I was thinking a couple of days ago, wouldn't it be great if all the books I'd bought in the last 2 years I could actually have on my iPad, because they're scattered all over the house and everything. But, I mean, I quite like reading on the iPad, actually, and I've actually read more. I've consumed more content, definitely, on the iPad since I got it, sort of feeds.
Oh, me too.
And browsing. It's just so nice to use. It's just a great way to consume content, and my consumption's definitely gone up.
Yeah.
I definitely do. I do find myself reading more blog entries and more news sites because it's just, everything just flows.
Wired magazine reported, what was it, like 20%, all of a sudden 20% of its traffic's coming from Wired, coming from the iPad. Wired.
It's interesting.
So I think people are reading more. By the way, there is a leaf blower app for the iPhone.
Oh, good. Great. I'll make sure to get that.
Thanks. Thank you, chat room.
Awesome.
Thank you, chat room. However, not all is sunny in the world of Apple. Despite the big sales on the iPad, there is word that the U.S. government, the feds, are looking into. Now, it's not even an investigation. They're investigating whether they will investigate the antitrust problems with Apple saying you can't use other people's programs to develop for the iPhone, iPad. So it's as removed as you can get. No word about why they're doing that, but you have to think somebody at Adobe screamed to a friend in Washington and said, "Hey, that's not right, is it?"
Yeah. There are a couple of things. I mean, there's the whole idea that Apple could just throw this into the developer's license and just say, you may not do this. And then Steve then has to come out and say, well, why you can't do this? And it's, first of all, you couldn't run Flash because it slowed things down. And then they say, well, and now you can't use their tools because that's putting in a layer between what we do and what you do, and it's going to make less efficient apps. And
Steve's just throwing everything with the kitchen sink in it. There's about 800 ways to hate Flash.
Yeah, I think so. And this just seems a little personal. And that the other conjecture is that this is more than just about Flash, that it also has something to do with the ads and the way that Apple's forbidding developers from doing things with ads, and yet they can. And so, again, it does look like Apple's kind of saying, this is definitely ours, which is in their DNA anyway, but it's a question of whether has this crossed the line now where you can say, yes, this is yours, but you're being a little anti-competitive here.
Explain to me why this helps iAd.
Well, Apple is going into the advertising business in essence. So they want their cut from selling these ads. And they're saying to developers, we are going to be able to do this and integrate this, and we're going to take a cut. We do not want you to be able to get access to some of these ad components that we are maintaining for ourselves. So, for example, earlier this year, they said, if you can't do location-aware ads. Just not going to happen, which could be a very powerful thing. So if you've got an iPad and a local store has a
that's the holy grail. Yeah.
Well, Apple said no, you can't do that.
But
we
not.
can do that.
Yeah, we can do that. You can't do it.
You can't do that, and that could be a huge source of revenue. So that's another thing where people are looking at ads and going, I don't know, maybe not.
Do you think that this merits antitrust investigation, Justine? What do you think?
I mean,
how do your developer friends feel about this?
I know I have a lot of Flash developer friends.
Yeah.
So I think when a lot of them found out about this, it's hard because this is what they're trained to do and what they do for their job. And now that I even feel myself that I don't, if I can't view a website, then I just won't go back.
Right.
Using the YouTube player and the ABC player, which I think last night they just updated the 3G version.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone else is finding ways around it. So I think it's just kind of something you're gonna have to do.
You live on YouTube. Your business is a YouTube business.
Yeah, and oh geez.
This is you as Keisha.
I just got an iPad today. An iPad. The iPad 3. I got the iPad 3. 3.
Even Keisha apparently has a leaf blower problem.
That's
interesting.
And when I'm singing and I'm done, and I was just so I can just have like this. I can have something.
That's very good.
For those that have no idea what's going on there, you have to watch a Kesha interview. She's kind of a little crazy. So I was like, well, what if Kesha got an iPad? So that was kind of take on that.
I got it. I don't even know who Kesha is.
She's a little crazy.
So maybe this is another thing that, Apple might be, maybe there is reason to investigate Apple, because here's another, this is from Patently Apple, the Apple blog that covers Apple's patents. Is Apple test marketing iTravel in Montreal? Shh, they say. On April 21st, Patently Apple presented a report on a high-profile Apple patent relating to the travel industry, which covered an iPhone application called iTravel. It's been the buzz, or bane, of the travel industry ever since. The timing of the report couldn't have been any better, considering the Travel Distribution Summit is coming up in June in London. How to build the perfect travel app will be one of the seminars. Well, maybe you shouldn't. If Apple's doing the iTravel app, apparently, if you go to Montreal is one of the few, Vancouver, Toronto, Paris, and London, the few markets where they're trying this out. And I don't know. That's an interesting. How far can Apple go? Now they're saying, okay, we want the ad market. We're gonna, and you can't really do anything cool unless we let you in our platform. I imagine the same thing with games. If they start writing apps, how greedy can Apple get before they really start getting in trouble here? Don, do you have an opinion on this?
Yeah, it's difficult. The whole antitrust thing and the anti-competitive nature of things, I suppose it really depends on the market share and just how much clout they've got. Now, although they're still, not the biggest sort of mobile platform, although they might say they are the biggest mobile platform, there's still tons and tons of competitors out there that have free rein to do whatever they want. And Apple really are only sort of hankering down on their own platform. So, although it does have a knock-on impact for the internet in general, because obviously if it is, I'm slightly contradicting myself now, but it's such an important platform that, if Apple go down that particular route of not supporting Flash, that others are likely to follow suit. But I don't know the legalities of, how big your market share needs to be before it actually does start to become anti-competitive.
It's got to be attractive to Apple because, versus here's the patent application for iTravel. You make reservations, retrieve reservations, check in. You can book flights, hotels, car rental. There's a lot of money on the table there. If Apple builds this into the phone,
yeah, but they're not stopping other people from doing the same, though, are they? And purely by well,
it's what Microsoft came up against with Internet Explorer, where if you bundle the browser, and by the way, got in trouble with the Department of Justice and the EU. If you bundle the browser, that's anti-competitive.
Yeah,
right, because it's coming from you. And Opera didn't like it.
Yeah. But don't forget at the time, Windows must have had like 95, 97% of the PC operating system market at that point. So they were this huge juggernaut that were imposing this browser on everybody through the operating system.
Right.
Whether or not, Apple, we can mirror that with Apple with as the mobile platform grows, as more and more iPads come out, as people, move across to the iPhone. It's a possibility, I must say.
It is my understanding, and we always get letters from lawyers when I say things like that, so I'm not a lawyer, that you can do things if you're not a monopoly that as soon as you become a monopoly become problematic. 5% market share, Apple never had to worry about that on the desktop. But, they've got a pretty good market share in mobile, don't they?
Mm-hmm. And it's growing.
And it's growing. Mm-hmm. So I think this will be interesting to see what the U.S. federal government, Department of Justice does. We're going to take a break. We're coming back in just a moment. Chris Breen is here with his leaf blower. I thought at first it was your hair dryer. I didn't know.
Well, it does take an awful big
I was
going to
say, yeah,
to do this.
You have a guy come in, don't you?
Yeah, he's all the way across the room. And so, because you don't want it flying all over the place.
Chris is the Mac Daddy, the senior editor at macworld.com, and always a pleasure to have you here. Don McAllister is also here, Justine, Ezarik, and we are going to continue with our conversation in just a moment. But first, I do want to mention one of our fine sponsors here at MacBreak Weekly, those without whom this show would not exist. In fact, this is a new client. Well, kind of an old client with a new product. How about that? You heard Go to My PC. We talked about Citrix all the time, the remote access product that we just love. Go to Meeting, the meeting product we love. Well, what if you took Go to Meeting and Go to My PC, you mushed them together, and you made a product for trainers? Online training. That's what Go to Training is. Up to 200 people can connect to a training session right from their desktops. You can do it in real time. You can trade. I love this. You can trade training with other people. So Don could do a bit, I could do a bit, Chris could do a bit. Doesn't matter where we are because you've got complete screen sharing capabilities. Voice over IP. So you don't have to have a phone call going on. They can just hear you and you can hear them. Chat. But I love this. You have session recording, so you do it in real time, and then you can do it. They can come back later and take the training again. So 200 people in live, but as many as you want after the fact. You can create a training content library with any document type or links to any websites. You get a curriculum that your trainees can see before, during, and after the training. You can send out email invites even as the training session is going on. It's got an integrated email system. You can create and customize tests, polls, all sorts of interactivity. This is, if you've sat through corporate training before, either in person or online, you know this is a big, big improvement. These guys know what they're doing. I want you to try it free, as always. Citrix loves to give you the chance to try this stuff free by going to gototraining.com. gototraining.com. That's it. There's no special URLs. Just go to that website, sign up today. You get it absolutely free, and I think you will find it's fantastic. If you're an online trainer, check it out for 30 days free. If you're not, if you just have to put up with online training, you might want to mention this to the trainer. Go to training.com. We thank them for their support of MacBreak Weekly. So the other big story of the week this week, finally we could stop talking about Gizmodo.
No, let's talk more about Gizmodo.
What do you want to say about Gizmodo? Anything? Is there anything to say?
No, it's been covered so many
times. Is it true that
Jason
Chen put a fertilizer bomb in Times Square, or am I confusing things? I'm not sure.
Confusing that.
I'm confusing that. They're
no, I think that was an Apple engineer who did that.
Yeah,
they were prototyping the terrorism application.
Yeah, really.
Dropped it in Times Square.
Really? Yeah.
It really, it took me forever to actually believe that that was real, because something like this does not happen to Apple. You don't just lose an iPhone. I honestly, I didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it, but I think
Did you think a lot of people? It's funny. Most of the time when I talk to tech pundits, they go no. But most of the mainstream media people I talk to, because I did a lot of interviews the last 2 weeks on this subject, think Apple did it on purpose.
I honestly have no idea. I mean, I don't think that if you're an actual Apple employee that you will lose an iPhone like that no matter what. So I really don't even know what to think. I really don't.
Come on now. Apple, this isn't how Apple works. Crispin, you've been covering them for 43 years. This isn't how Apple would do it.
I think that somebody needs to do a chart. Beer is the x-axis and paranoia is the y-axis, and see at what point the two come together. Because I think that beer exceeded paranoia there, and it was just stupid. Obviously, they have to test them off campus.
They have to. Right, it's normal, right?
Yeah, it's normal to do it. It's just he was unlucky and too much beer.
Yeah, and still has his job, so that's okay.
I mean, the good thing is that now, it sort of breaks some of the preconceptions that we have about Apple. They're not superhuman. They are actually made of people. They can make genuine mistakes.
It's made of people.
It's people.
Apple, it's made of people. We do forget that, don't they? Sometimes seem superhuman.
It was just inconceivable to think that an engineer would be in a bar with the next iPhone and just leave it somewhere. And
apparently, Justine still doesn't believe it.
It's just unbelievable.
It rocked your world.
I believe it now, but I know that before one of the iPhones came out, that I was at an event and some Apple employee said, "Hey, I have something to show you," and I was like, "Oh, this is a little creepy." And then they showed me one of the 3GS iPhones, so I know they did test it off-site, but it's still just crazy. It's crazy to me.
Don't say who did that, because remember,
I don't even know who it was. It was like a stranger.
Because remember when Steve Wozniak said when somebody showed him a 3G iPad the day of the launch, he got fired.
Yes, I know, that's crazy.
Showing it to an Apple employee the day of the release of the product anyway, and he still got fired. So be careful. Anyway, enough about Gizmodo already. Even though the guy who found the phone regrets his mistake.
Well, and he's very good to children too.
He's a nice fellow.
Yeah. He's a very nice fellow, and his attorney has made sure to already sort of start copping a plea. It's like, no, he's really a really nice guy, and he's just 21, and he's got a lot of loans to pay back, and please, he's not a criminal.
His parents are very proud of him.
Don't hit me, Steve. Don't hit me. No, the big story I was thinking about is HP saying we want to be in this game and saving Palm, $1.2 billion for Palm. And really the HP executives said they didn't say anything about the phones. They're not buying the Pre. They're not buying the Pixie. They're buying webOS, the Palm operating system. And I can only think the only reason that HP, the world's biggest computer company, would buy Palm for webOS is if they want to make one of these puppies, a Slate. Now, they according to TechCrunch, you know, apparently people only speak to Mike Arrington. They don't tell anybody else. But according to TechCrunch, HP has decided to cancel the Windows 7 Slate.
Now, has that actually been confirmed, or is that still a rumor? Because it's a bit of a grey area to me. I mean, it'd be such a huge shock to do that, especially after Mr. Barmer gets up on stage at CES and demonstrates this product that's going to be launched, you know, and then they can it on him. He's not going to be very pleased about that. I can fully appreciate that they want to go down the webOS route with the mobile OS rather than the Windows 7, but still to cancel such a high-profile product.
Are you thinking that Mike Arrington is wrong?
Who am I to say?
You know, I would. It kind of makes sense to me. I don't know what the truth of that rumor is, but it kind of makes sense to me. If you're sitting here with a Slate, you have already made. I have right in front of me right now an HP tablet PC from 4 or 5 years ago. They've made a number of them. I don't know if they did the ultra mobile PCs, but they've drunk the Microsoft tablet Kool-Aid for a decade, and these things. I would be willing to venture, I'd love to find this number, that all the tablets combined, all the Windows tablets combined have sold fewer units than the iPad in its first 28 days. I think that's got to be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I think you're pretty close.
Just a flop. Over a 10-year period of flop.
So Windows is just a nightmare to use.
You don't want to I think what happens when you get this and you realize it, and I'm sure the HP people, you know, Mark Hurd got one and said, oh, a desktop operating system, bad idea on a tablet. So maybe, I mean, it would make sense. Then they would cast their eye about for another mobile operating system, perhaps one that they could get on the cheap. Palm's having a fire sale. They get webOS. Maybe they'll still do the Slate. No, they have to redesign it because the Slate, as they spec'd it out, again, another rumor, but it seemed a pretty solid rumor, was running an Atom. It was basically a netbook, an Atom. Intel Atom processor, and of course webOS requires an ARM processor, so they'd have to redesign it. It would make sense that you would say, okay, well, hold on, let's not release the Slate yet, let's redesign it, let's put an ARM processor in there, let's put webOS on there.
Do you think that's in direct response to sort of damage limitation to the iPad itself?
Exactly.
I mean, so close to it being released. I mean, it must have been a complete shock to them when they saw it and thought, yeah, as you say, oh, hang on, we're completely going down the wrong track on this. Let's retrace our steps and, right, as you say, buy Palm because they were up for sale, and they have the webOS, which is a mobile platform.
It makes sense to me, but maybe that's because I've drunk the Kool-Aid myself. I don't know.
Well, but I think it's surprising that anybody's surprised. This is the third time around on this. So we've already had the iPod where people that were manufacturing MP3 players suddenly went, oh, you do it like that. And then we have the iPhone come out and people go, oh, touch interface, got it. We need to do that. And now suddenly the iPad comes out and says, oh, mobile computing is actually really important and we need to get in on the game. Well, Apple's got a head start of several years on these folks. And now they're going, oh, yeah, okay, well, yeah, we got to go buy an OS somewhere because what a horrible job it would be to develop it in-house. As you say, they've looked at Windows and what that's had to offer. And
it hasn't worked for whatever reason. It just hasn't sold.
So why keep hitting that nail? And finally you go, no, let's just get our own thing. This is a perfectly fine operating system.
I love webOS.
Yeah, hardware not so much. Let's bring it to great hardware, and maybe we can get in on this game. And it's clearly a game they need to get in on.
I think, too, on a lot of the posts that I've talked about the iPad, a lot of people are like, well, why do I want this? And even though I'm the biggest Apple fan in the world, I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, well, it doesn't have Flash. It doesn't have a camera. But then I used it, and it just completely changed the way that I browse the web, the way that I game, the way that I watch videos and consume content. I watch a lot of TV. The ABC app is pretty much just the coolest thing ever. Now, I'd be really excited if Hulu would get an app out. They're
supposed to. In fact,
that's what I heard.
The rumor is it'll be $10 a month, though. Would you pay $10 a month for a Hulu app?
I would. Yes, I definitely would. As long as there's an iPad app and I can watch more than 5 episodes, then I would pay.
I think You might see a crack in this wall that Hollywood's been so reluctant to put its content on digitally, and there might be this crack in the wall where they suddenly go, well, we don't have to worry about piracy. There's no, notice no disk drive, no USB port. There's no piracy concern. Maybe we will allow it on the iPad, and that would be a breakthrough.
And the Netflix app, I was quite surprised how good it is.
It's great, even on 3G, although it downgrades the video quality on 3G, right?
But I mean, a lot of the shows that you're going to watch, most of the time, that kind of stuff, you're probably going to be near Wi-Fi. So I don't see myself sitting.
Although it's great. I was in the park just playing with a 3G just to see what I could do, and I ran Netflix, and it was a completely acceptable experience. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I could watch a Netflix movie in the park was it's pretty
awesome.
Pretty rocking.
And so you burned through your 250 megs in
no, and that's
at
another
the end of the movie.
Yeah, no. In fact, there's some speed test. There's a speed test app. I downloaded all the speed test apps because I wanted to test the speed. I had seen a very stupid rumor, which turns out not to be true, that somehow the 3G on the iPad was limited to 64 kilobits a second. Not so. I was able to get, depending on where I was, anywhere from pretty consistently 1.5 megabits per second to 2 megabits per second on AT&T 3G. As I wandered around. Here in Petaluma, it's about 2 because I don't think there's a lot, San Francisco's a little slower. But still, 1.5 is plenty. That's where I was watching Netflix. 250 megabytes would go pretty fast if you use this speed test app because each time you used it, it downloads 10 megabytes. So you could use it 25 times, and that's it. Sorry, you're done. But I think somebody like this 99-year-old Virginia, probably 250 megabytes would be sufficient. That's how much I'm sure my father-in-law will get initially. I didn't.
Just go back to the video experience, though, Leo. The thing that surprised me, I'm a big TV guy, and I've got the big TV in the living room, and I wanted to watch a TV program that was on my Mac Mini, so I've got my Mac Mini attached to the TV. I've got a surround sound system that's also attached to the TV, and I walked into the room, and it was a case of either going across to I didn't have to go across to the TV. I could switch the TV on. I had to physically walk across the room and press the HDMI switcher button to switch into the Mac Mini. Then I would have to switch on the surround sound system. And they set myself down, sort out the remote for the Mac Mini, etc. And you know what? I just didn't bother. I just sat down, got the iPad.
Watch TV? Yeah.
Watch TV on using a video. I just
and if you're holding it this close to your eyes, if you're an arm's length, it's like a big screen TV, frankly.
Well, I put my feet up, put it on my chest, and actually, if I looked at the TV and the iPad, it was literally the same size as the TV. So, and it was I was watching the TV show in literally 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And there was no faff, and it was great. And even the sound, the built-in sound, that's without earphones. The built-in sound on the iPad is great just for watching a TV show today. It's no problem at all.
So the question, I guess, is who should get 250 megabytes? Nobody who's $15 is attractive. And by the way, for those who don't have the 3G, very easy. You sign up on you don't have to connect it to anything. You sign up on the iPad. Again, begging the question, why the hell do we have to connect it at all? I still don't understand Apple's thinking there. But so you don't have to connect it for the 3G. You sign up. It's a new account. You do get a phone number because I guess that's how they do 3G. You can change it, they said, at any time to a higher. I don't know if you go from full time to 250, but you can go from 250 to full time. So if you see you're quickly going to max out, you can go to the unlimited. Is unlimited really unlimited?
I was reading.
Somebody's
there was
testing
one
that
article
now to find out. I think they're just streaming constantly.
9to5Mac is doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to 9to5Mac.com/unlimited_data.
And my only big complaint is that the 3G I definitely noticed killed my battery life.
Did it?
Because I used the Wi-Fi one, and on several flights, I would go to New York and back, and I wouldn't even have to charge my iPad. But now with a 3G, if there's low 3G coverage, my battery I could just watch the percentages drop and drop. I'm like, no, don't do that. So I turn it off a lot when I'm not using it.
Well, that's interesting. I leave it on, but I'm often on Wi-Fi, so I presume that it's not using it. I'm sorry, it is not 9to5Mac. That article links to knowyourcell.com. Knowyourcell.com, and that's where they're doing the test.
It will be very surprising if it is true unlimited. I don't think there's ever been sort of any sort of service provider provides an unlimited service.
It's just how they get away with that.
It's always a fair use cap or some sort of cap in there.
Unlimited, it has been 5 gigabytes up to now.
Right, well, there you go.
When I bought mine, I asked the Apple guy, I was like, so is this really unlimited? You're not really capping me at 5 gigs? He's like, no, I swear, it's completely unlimited. I'm like, okay, so unlimited, like my Verizon Wi-Fi is unlimited. He's like,
Yeah,
no,
not that kind.
not like that.
Well, that's what AT&T has been saying. So I'll be very curious to this Know Your Cell test. He has a few observances. The 3G model is 1/10 of a pound heavier, 1.6 ounces. I don't know how many grams. That would be 28 plus 14. As I remember from my days peddling cocaine, I think that's, I don't know.
I mean, as I said before, the MiFi is great. I really love the MiFi, and it's so flexible as well. You're not tied just to the one device. So, you've got my iPhone, I've got my laptop, and they can all run off the MiFi.
I did some tests on the MiFi here in the States because that's using Verizon. The one I have is using Verizon in the States, and it was about the same speed. It was a little bit slower than the native 3G. The other difference is you have a plastic strip at the top. That's, of course, where the antenna for the radio reception. There's real GPS, and by the way, the GPS is excellent on this. I mean, it's fast. It keeps it up to date. It even seems to hover a little bit, move a little bit as you're. I mean, it's like real time.
My only complaint with the Verizon MiFi is, like, I'll have it in my purse, and it'll just randomly turn on.
Yeah, I can't figure that out either.
And then sometimes it'll just start blinking. I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? I don't understand. So then the battery life just dies. So that was my main thinking for getting the 3G iPad.
Yeah. No, yeah. Mine does that too.
There should definitely be a lock that says this is definitely off.
I want you to be off. I want to save all my juice. But I think it turns itself off if you don't. I don't know. It
doesn't. It's just I will open my purse and it is on.
I know. It's a mystery.
I don't even know how long it's been on.
And it turns on when you charge it. It's a mystery what that thing is doing.
It is.
So anyway, Know Your Cell, I guess, is doing some sort of torture test. He says, in my first 2 days with the new iPad, I've pumped just about, get this, 31 gigabytes of data. 2 days, 31 gigabytes of data. Now, of course, he may get a bill. He might get an iJustine-sized bill at some point.
Oh, boy. That would be interesting. But there's nowhere that it said. I mean, actually, I didn't really read all of that text when I first signed up. No, I didn't. So hopefully he did, because if he gets a bill, that's not going to be pretty.
He's going to try to hit 100 gigabytes in the month and see if he gets shut down or gets a big bill. I would say I would wait till next month and see if Zach survives the torture test. Meanwhile,
well, I would have to think too that they would put limits on things like the Netflix app if it is going to eat up this kind of thing and everybody's streaming Netflix over 3G for $30 a month. I would think somebody from AT&T would come over to Apple's house, kick in the door and say, by the way, could you stop this from working because this isn't good for us?
Well, I think that's why people were worried when the ABC player did not work on 3G. They thought, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But what Justine, ABC just said, oh, no, we screwed up, right?
Yeah, and I'm a big ABC fan, so I watch a lot of shows on there, so I was very excited that I can now watch on 3G, just in case.
What, is Brothers and Sisters any good?
I actually haven't watched that.
That's the new Sally Fields show.
I did start watching Happy Town, though, it's pretty good.
Is it good? It looked kind of scary.
I was quite surprised.
Yeah.
It's a little cheesy, but it's a good
Cheesy's
show.
Okay. I can live with cheesy. Of course, Lost. I'm sure you watch Lost on here.
I am. I'm getting sick of Lost, actually. I actually enjoy their sideways stories much better than the flashbacks to the island.
I think ABC is really a chick network. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Maybe.
Desperate Housewives, Grey's Anatomy.
I don't watch any of those.
Brothers and Sisters, Castle, which is
Castle is really good.
I like him because he was the Firefly guy, so I watched it just because of him. Yeah, it's for murder mystery. It's pretty good. Can you go back in time on Lost? Because I've never seen Lost. Could I go back and watch it from the beginning?
Not on there. I think you can on Netflix. Didn't you start watching that?
Netflix has
your
all
Blippy was filled with.
Yeah, I started. Yeah. So Blippy is a site that I'm really kind of toying with discontinuing. It records all your purchases, and whenever you start streaming something on Netflix, it acts as if you've rented that movie. So all you really saw, Justine, was I keep trying to watch Lost.
Yeah, no, I did. Well, I did the same thing too. I mean, I don't have my credit card in Blippy, but I do have my iTunes account and my Netflix. So my sister watched the entire 6 seasons of Lost.
Oh, yeah.
So my entire Blippy feed was just filled with.
I remember that. It was your sister. I remember that.
It was her.
Of course, my big disappointment is that we can't get Netflix or ABC over here.
All of this is
in the
not,
UK.
yeah.
So I thought, oh, great, we'll go to the iPlayer because BBC have got a great website which is optimized for the iPhone.
Oh.
And you can go back and watch the last 7 days worth of BBC output. So I
awesome.
thought that would be superb on the iPad. It doesn't work.
Oh,
It's
no.
expected flash because they haven't flipped the switch to sense when an iPad is accessing the iPlayer, because obviously there shouldn't be any here in the UK.
Right.
So it's just a matter of them, making sure that mobile Safari on the iPad is recognised, and then using the iPhone optimised versions of the shows, unless they're bringing out a special iPad version of the iPlayer, which would be fantastic. But hopefully it won't be too long now.
You do have Spotify, which we don't have.
Yes.
Is there how long before we get Spotify on the iPad?
Well, there is I'm not sure, but they've just launched a new version of Spotify, actually, which is phenomenal, because one of the problems with Spotify in the past, I know it's only for European people at the minute, is that whenever I was playing Spotify music, I'd always be switching between iTunes and Spotify to sort of play my own music and then going on to Spotify in a sort of like party situation or something. Well, now the new version of Spotify actually imports all your local music as well. So it's all in a single library. So basically, you've got all your own music plus, all this unlimited download of, not download, but streaming of music in Spotify. And they've added some social aspects to it as well. So there's integration now with other people that are on friend feed that use Spotify. It's very, very neat. It's a really nice upgrade.
The best we've got here is Rhapsody on the iPad, and you can only iPad is considered like a phone device. You can only have one device. You can have multiple, I think 3 computers on Rhapsody, but only one phone device. And it's streaming, although it will cache your playlists, I guess. So you can't go offline.
There is an iPhone app for Spotify, which is intelligent enough to know that if you're listening to a streamed track on your iPhone, it will actually stop the desktop client. So it knows that you're listening to something on the iPhone, so it will stop it on the desktop client, so you can't listen on both devices. But the neat thing they've done now is if you have local music as well, so I've got quite a large iTunes library. If I start listening to something on my iTunes library and then play a Spotify track on my iPhone, the Spotify on the desktop doesn't stop. It carries on playing and vice versa as well. So it's they've done some quite neat things with the Spotify application. And that's still, I think it's £10 a month for the premium account. You can get a free account as well, which is sort of unlimited access, but with ads stuck in as well.
Spotify, according to CNNmoney.com, says, money.cnn.com says they plan to launch in the U.S. by the end of the year. But, of course, you can't launch in the U.S. unless Apple says you can. You have to get by Apple. But you could, but Apple let it happen in the UK, so maybe they would.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, Apple did kill Lala this week. Apple bought a similar service called Lala. Did you Justine, is the token hip person here. Actually,
I must not be that hip because I buy a lot of my music on iTunes. So anything that I want to listen to, I just get it on iTunes. Although I saw somebody in the chat just mention the Dashboard iPad app.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, that's an interesting story too, because he went open source with it, which is kind of a good. But you have to be a developer to use it. Chris Breen, okay, you may not be hip, but you're a hipster. Did you use Lala?
Yeah, Lala is another streaming service that. What they would allow you to do is listen to any track you want once all the way through. So unlike iTunes, when you're doing a preview and you just get 30 seconds, and they always give you the best 30 seconds, never that terrible bridge in the middle where you go, oh, it's horrible. So
is that are you being sarcastic, or do they actually put the hook in there?
No, completely being sarcastic.
It's random. It's like the worst part, right?
It is. They put the
bridge.
Worst part in.
Here's the bridge.
Here's the bridge, like, oh, this is great. And then you get to the rest of it, and then they have like this Elizabethan poetry thing at the beginning. Where
Nights in white satin.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like 35 minutes of that. And you go, oh,
darkness
for God's sake,
came across the land.
Yeah. So, and it's remarkable the amount of Elizabethan poetry that's in the
It was a trend in Britain in the 60s, and it was a bad trend, yeah. It
was a very bad trend. So with Lala, you could listen to an entire track and say, oh, great, there's no Elizabethan poetry in this one. I will buy this now. So Apple purchased Lala 6 months ago or so. And at the time, everybody speculated, that means streaming is going to be coming to iTunes. At least we'll be allowed to get our iTunes library from the cloud, because that's one of the things that Lala did. And then we can listen to our iTunes library on the go. Sounds great. Apple said, no, we're just buying the engineers and the technology.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, and so this week they said, no, they're done. At the end of this month, we're finished.
I was really hoping they'd incorporate something like this. Why is Apple so dead set against anything?
They may. I'm not sure that I buy the fact that we have a lot. They say, well, Lala's got a lot of smart engineers. There are lots and lots of smart engineers for hire.
You don't just buy a company because they have a smart engineer.
Right. I have to think that there's going to be some streaming cloud component to iTunes. I hope there is, because I love subscription services unlike anybody else on earth.
No, everybody loves it. That's like the only reason to buy a Zune. I mean, you get a Zune pass and you can listen to anything. You fill up your Zune with stuff. It's great.
That is pretty cool.
I think so too. So I hope that comes to iTunes.
All right, I'm sorry. I have to play Nights in White Satin. This is the iTunes preview. I'm just curious what part of Nights in White Satin, the iTunes preview.
With these eyes.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Just what the truth.
No Elizabethan poetry.
No, they left that part out.
Now let's see. That was the album version. Let's see if the single version, what they put in there. Same thing. I probably have violated all the rules in the...
Is that Procol Harum? Doesn't sound like the original, that.
No, it's Moody Blues.
Moody Blues, dude.
Moody Blues.
We're gonna yank your Liverpudlian membership card here. I'm sure I'm not allowed to do that, but that was for news purposes, just to check. And watch, because I guarantee you, they will sell 100 copies of that song in the next hour.
I know. I don't have it, so.
Everybody
It's a great song.
Yeah.
You should buy it.
Everybody's going to go, oh, I forgot about that. They're going to go buy it, and I'm going to get sued because somehow, in some bizarre way, I've depleted sales by playing 10 seconds. All right, we're going to take a break while I act bitter. We shall come back. There is more news. A great panel with us. Justine. Justine Ezarik is here. iJustine.com for her great videos. Find out what Kesha would be like if she got an iPad. Because you wouldn't believe it. You didn't have enough glitter in your hair.
I know I didn't. I shouldn't have washed my hair for a week.
You need more bling.
I know.
More bling. Well, let's talk about Squarespace. Actually, Don, any of you do a Squarespace blog? We have one. Our house blog is Squarespace, and I'm moving the radio station to Squarespace. And Don, you use Squarespace, is that right?
Yeah. I moved my the MacScreencastGuy.com blog across to Squarespace.
We should be honest. I mean, the reason that Kevin Rose, Sarah Lane, Don McAllister are using Squarespace is because they came to all these people and said, "Well, would you like a free account?" Right?
Well, no, actually not. The reason I moved across was that I'd heard you talk about it, and I had a WordPress blog. It was on WordPress, and my WordPress blog got hacked. And I was really nervous about it was around the time when WordPress was a bit flaky and there were attacks. So I was looking for a way to move my WordPress blog off WordPress to something else. And then I remember someone saying that, probably yourself, that there was an import feature within Squarespace. Yep. So I got the free account, because you can get a free account. You don't even have to give the credit card details. I just got a free account. I thought, well, I'll just try and export from WordPress and import it into Squarespace to see how that happens. And in an afternoon, I had it all moved. It was literally a couple of hours, and I'd moved my entire blog into Squarespace. So I actually paid for an account, and I was quite happy with it. And then I was so impressed, I sort of contacted the guys to inquire whether or not they wanted any screencasts doing, and they actually do their own screencasts. So they said, no, thanks. But, seeing as you do screencasts, here's a full account for you to try.
Oh, that's nice of them. Oh, good.
So that was nice of them, yeah. So I did actually pay for the. I signed up for the premium account, and they sort of said, no, we'll let you have an account to try out all the other features. And I've been with them ever since. I still need to do a bit more work. The usual thing, you never have the time to play about with these things as much as you want, but it's very, very simple.
Well, for something you set up in like 2 days, it's pretty good. I have to say, that's pretty amazing. You can do, of course, if you're into CSS or JavaScript, you can do more. They have great templates that you can start with. That's one of the things I really like about Squarespace is the starting point. And the other thing I like is a lot of times, if you do a WordPress blog or a Drupal site or a lot of Joomla, people go, oh yeah, I know what your engine is, because they all look kind of the same. And Squarespace is not the case. Every Squarespace blog is, even though they're all starting from the same basic templates, they all are incredible. Go to the examples page, because it's so easy to customize, whether it's simple publishing, business style publishing that you want to do, or something a little more artistic. A lot of photographers use Squarespace. Go to squarespace.com. You can try it for free right now. He's obviously a wedding photographer. You can try it for free right now. If you use the promo code MacBreak, you'll get 10% off for life. You get the Don McAllister deal. 10%. Actually, go ahead.
Well, what's cool about Squarespace too is a lot of people always want to add like forums or little kind of
It's all in
little
there.
widgets that aren't. You know, I guess maybe it's a little more difficult to do in WordPress, but on Squarespace it's there. It's just instant. It's like, oh, you want to add a forum? Well, here you go.
Hosted
So
service.
It's pretty cool.
It's hosted, so they run. They run the servers. And unlike to your point, Don, they update the code and everything. So it's always patched. You don't have to with WordPress. You're always going, what's the latest? What's the latest? Am I patched? Am I patched? They patch it automatically. You cannot bring a Squarespace site down. I love this because their virtual server technology they just add bandwidth whenever you need it. So it's just always there. I love it. Squarespace.com. We're going to use it more and more. I can't wait to put the tech guy on it. That's a big project that we're working on right now. Squarespace.com. Use the promo code MacBreak for 10% off. They start at $8 a month, but when you get 10% off, you get it off for life. I like that. Squarespace.com/MacBreak. So you don't buy my conspiracy theory on HP or not? Do you think HP is going to be able to compete against the iPad with a webOS based tablet? Are they doing phones? Where are they going? They do make. I was so surprised. I thought, well, HP's been out of the smartphone business for years. No, you could still get an iPack, Windows mobile smartphone from HP. You poor person, you.
I think I'll pass on that.
Yeah, no kidding. But I would be very interested. Dell's doing some really interesting stuff with Android. I think you're going to have the big three mobile platforms. You're going to have Android, you're going to have Apple, of course, and you're going to have webOS. It may be Windows Phone can compete. It looks pretty sharp. We're seeing some of it already with the Canon. We're going to see more in the fall. And BlackBerry is starting to do some interesting things. They actually put a real browser on BlackBerries now instead of that crappy BlackBerry browser. So you may have 5 platforms, and I think credit to Apple for not only stimulating the smartphone category, but creating a whole new category with the iPad, and it's going to be a boon. I was on Twit this week. I talked about, are we entering a post-PC era? I don't mean, oh, there goes Chris Breen. I've alienated him. He's got to go see the blower, man. He's going to get his hair needs to be inflated. Is that kind of crazy, this post-PC era? I mean, I just see more and more people using simple mobile devices in lieu of PCs.
For me, I do a lot of video editing, so the only reason that I actually use my MacBook or my real computer is just to edit video. I do all of my emails, web surfing, everything on my iPad now. I really didn't think that it was going to change my life as much as it did, which sounds like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but it really has changed the way that I do things. And I think it's only just going to continue to do so with more apps that come out. Yeah, but you still need a desktop or a notebook to write apps. So Apple can't kill OS X. And for editing, which is a big business for them, for Photoshop, a big business for them, they're not going to abandon the desktop. I just think that this is a new category that may, for normal people who just mostly consume content, may be the future.
Yeah. What's interesting though is developers themselves are coming on board with the iPad. With I follow lots of Mac developers on Twitter, and despite what Apple are doing to them about leaving them out of WWDC, but perhaps we can talk about that later. They really have embraced the iPad, and they can see huge potential. And I think there was a blog post only yesterday or the day before. Fraser Spears, he'd written a blog post saying that he was out of the App Store and he wasn't interested in developing for the iPhone.
What is Fraser's? What does he develop?
He's the guy who does some of the Aperture plugins, and I think he does some.
Oh, yeah.
So to upload your pictures. In fact, I think he did a pic I did a while ago with that viewport. Is it?
Right. I knew the name. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up. And
so he's not going to do apps.
Well, he wasn't going to do apps on the mobile platform because of the developers were very upset at the treatment that we get from Apple and the whole review process, and that's all been smoothed out now. Although there's still some anomalies, but basically to get your app reviewed is quite quick now. So he sort of had a change of mind when he sort of realised the direction that Apple were going and the fact that the iPad is such a huge potential. The platform itself has such a huge potential that he's back on board now with developing apps for the Apple mobile platform, not just the iPhone but the iPad as well.
Here's a guy who has built his iPad into his kitchen cabinet. There's a Flickr photo set. I saw this on the unofficial Apple weblog. He's obviously a podcast fan. He's got Dignation, and maybe he just wants to get on Dignation. But look, he's got it mounted in there. He's got it hooked up to his stereo so he can have audio coming out of it. This is not a bad idea.
It's pretty awesome.
I think it's actually, there's his music system, right? Or his, he could watch BBC News. It was smart to hook up the speakers because now it's a little TV if he wants it to be, or an aquarium. Pretty cool, huh?
Right. He's got it in landscape orientation, which is hard to do with the dock because you've got the connector on the bottom of the thing.
I know.
So nice orientation.
Yeah, I think it's right. I think landscape is Don McAllister notwithstanding is the right way. But now here's a question, and I know the answer, but it's a surprise answer. Where does the home button go? Is this the proper orientation with the home button on the right, or should the home button be on the left? He's got it on the right.
Yeah, I have mine on the left, I must admit, when it's in landscape.
I did too, because I'm a lefty. But you know what?
I'm a lefty too.
This is the way it's supposed to be. Do you know how I know? Because We Rule doesn't rotate.
That is true. It doesn't.
It doesn't. Justine, do you have a farm?
I do. I kind of quit playing because I was kind of obsessed with Farmville, and then since there's no Flash on the iPad, I was like, I'm done. I quit Farmville, and I started playing We Rule. But
I like We Rule better. It's not so compulsory as Farmville. Plus, I have a much cuter farm in We Rule.
I like the little castles.
Yeah.
Have you played Godfinger as well?
Yeah.
It's a little less time consuming.
Well, Godfinger is one of those things where unless you're constantly running it, you can't maintain it. You have to you have to fix everything when you get back. Oh, I have some taxes to collect. Continue on with the show. I'll be with you. I think I've made quite a nice little. I have a little river moat, and I've got. Did you get to cauliflower yet? Once you can raise cauliflower, the sky's the limit.
What, isn't that a penalty?
I had to quit playing. Because once I get to the point that I start spending real money, I'm like, this.
No, you don't. No. I will not play the games. I won't play that game with these developers where you buy awe points or whatever. I won't do it. But yeah, Justine, watch this. Watch this. I'm gonna make Justine crazy. Where's the speaker? See, she's getting cold sweats.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to after the show is over. I'm gonna have to go back to my farm.
My farm needs me. There might be cauliflower blooming. I know. I like the music. The music. I'm now completely Pavlovian. Every time I hear the music.
I've also noticed
it sounds a little Elizabethan to me.
It is. And then, you know what's really cool? Okay, so after that song ends, then the wind blows a little bit, and they have wind chimes. It's very pleasant.
And then a guy starts talking about dragons and the
they use the World of Warcraft thing. When you touch them, they go. They all have different voices. And do you notice, Justine, that when you look at it, they look at you and wave?
That's kind of creepy.
They're my people.
That's so funny. But I feel like now that I got the iPad, like I don't download iPhone apps as much.
Right.
It's such a
I don't either.
know. It's
not. How much do you spend on iPad apps?
I don't want to talk about it. It makes me mad because they're so much more expensive, and a lot of the games that I played on my iPhone, like
you have to buy
Smiles
again.
and Plants vs Zombies, like I bought all these games again for my iPad. And
it was worth it.
It's such a better experience.
It is. Plants vs Zombies is the same exact game, but it's just better because it's bigger.
Yeah. I love it.
It's terrible, isn't it, though, on the iPad? Because I know you can blow up iPhone apps to twice the size, but it just doesn't seem right. You've got to have an iPad app for it. Yeah. There's only about 3 iPhone apps that I've left on my iPad. Everything else now.
You know what I still have? And I put it on as soon as I heard this news. Apple bought Siri. So I thought, ooh, I'm putting this back on because they don't have an iPad version. I guess never will. I pray that Apple did not buy this one for the engineers. This is a great little app.
It is pretty cool. I actually hadn't really tried it out, and then I just downloaded it the other day, and I was like, this is pretty cool. You know, I tried to trick it saying, I would like to find a pizza place that has really good pizza in San Francisco, and it found all of my favorite pizza shops, I was pretty surprised.
I have a theory that the little people in We Rule are actually operators for Siri, and they're really, when they go in the house, what they're doing is transcribing what you write, because it's too good. You're right.
They are pretty good. I was quite surprised.
Natural language. You make reservations, you book tickets, you find out what movies are showing. And Apple hasn't said what they're going to do with it, but I think it makes a lot of sense, especially because Android phones have dictation. And that's something that's, would be great to have a ubiquitous dictation. I do notice that they did put a microphone in this iPad.
Which is great for the Glee app, if anyone has seen that.
Are you on the Glee app too?
I have it, yes. I've never published any of my songs because they're terrible.
I was going to say,
it's a fun game.
The Glee app has auto-tune.
It does.
It's kind of fun. Except that I'm sick of well, now here, let me ask you, did you buy songs?
I did. I bought a few.
I got sick. I don't want to go to rehab.
That's a good one.
I don't want to go to rehab.
Not saying
no. So
before we go too far down the Glee road,
yes, yes.
No, I was
save us, John McAllister. Save us.
No, well, the voice thing with Siri, I mean, that's the logical progression, isn't it, for Apple? I mean, I thought they'd do more with the voice control, which they brought out in the last version of the iPhone OS, because when it works great, but it's very hit and miss at the minute. And that's something I was expecting them to really build on for the next version of the iPhone. I don't think they'll have time to incorporate the Siri thing, but probably for the next version after. That's going to be part of the OS, surely it must be.
OS 5, not OS 4, I guess.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I always hate it when these great apps get purchased by a big company, because no matter how much goodwill or intention they have, it always seems like it just basically peters out, like Lala did, like FriendFeed has when they got bought by Facebook. What do you think, Chris Breen? Is there a chance that Siri will become a part of the iPhone OS?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my big vision of all this is that Apple eventually becomes a financial services company, and it's all about what's around you. No, I'm serious. Is that the iPhone becomes money?
Just give us your money, and you will be happy. Is that what you're saying? Oh, you mean
no,
like it's going to be a payment service?
Yeah, that you land somewhere, you walk outside your hotel, and you talk into your iPhone, and you say, "I want to go get a pizza," and then it shows you all the pizza places around you within 500 yards or whatever your your search setup is. You tap the place you want, it orders the thing for you, it pays for you because it's already done this. So this becomes your credit card. You walk into the place, it's ready for you because you've already ordered it. You eat it, you don't have to have a server, you don't have to have anybody else there. You eat it, you leave, you're done. And Apple takes what? They take 1/10 of a cent per transaction. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And why not?
It's so funny.
If you can search with voice, all the more powerful.
There was a Microsoft video, one of those Bill Gates videos at Comdex many years ago. Microsoft, I mean, look, everybody's wanted to do this, and Microsoft really wanted to do this, where Bill or somebody walks up to a Starbucks cart in Seattle and waves his phone, and he gets a cup of coffee. This is an interesting play, and I think that that's what iTravel is all about. You're right, Chris Breen. It's what Siri is all about, and it's just a question of how can Apple avoid regulatory slapdowns, which is a shame in some ways, that a company has to start thinking about antitrust action if it wants to innovate.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that you can already purchase things with your phone in Japan, so that's done.
Right.
It's just simply a matter of at what point do the financial services companies, Visa, MasterCard, all of them suddenly wake up and go, oh, wait, people are using one click to purchase things, and they're coming through us. But what's to eventually stop them from coming through us? And Apple just simply saying, oh, by the way, we're Apple Inc., and we also handle financial transactions.
So not just iAds, you do iPay and pay.
iPay, exactly. iPay, you have a phone. It's much more convenient than having a card because it's all your purchases are done wirelessly. You just walk in, and then it just becomes Minority Report. So they're pushing ads to you, and you're purchasing wirelessly.
We never did get smart cards here in the States. I know in the UK these chipped cards, credit cards, are big. This may just bypass that entirely in your phone. And everybody's got their phone with them at all times.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's seen the Square application, for the little square for your iPad or iPhone. And I've been using that for a while. And I mean, it's insane that just this little device, I no longer have to carry cash, or if I want to sell a T-shirt wherever, I can sell someone a T-shirt just right on the spot using the Square device.
But you still need the credit card. Eliminate the credit card now.
Yeah, and that would be, that's the next step.
Hi, I'm here. In fact, via Bluetooth, you don't even have to take the thing out of your pocket.
It just goes. It's a little scary. It scares me a little
we
bit.
have to have some way of confirming the purchase, don't we?
Well, what was interesting, too, is when I bought my new Mac Pro, I didn't realize that I had the Bluetooth. It was on as discoverable. So one of my neighbors in my apartment building, who I don't know, sent me a Facebook message saying, "Dear Justine Ezarik, I just wanted to let you know that your Bluetooth is on and you should turn it off.
Oh, that's
Sincerely, your neighbor."
But thank you, creepy neighbor.
Yeah, so I mean, I thanked him too because I mean, who knows what could have happened, and that's something that you just don't think. Now I make sure my Bluetooth is not discoverable, and I just bought it, just set it up, and wasn't even thinking, and left for a week, and what do you know?
Starbucks is accepting. The Starbucks app, and it's not everywhere, but the Starbucks app can be used at 1,000 Starbucks inside, but you have to go inside a Target store. I can't quite understand this, but for some reason, only the Starbucks in Target stores, you can use the Starbucks app to pay for a coffee.
Only in Target stores. That kind of defeats the purpose.
I don't understand it. You can get it. It says, okay, coffee lovers can now flash Apple iPhones or iPod Touches, or I presume iPads, to pay for lattes, pastries, and other items at more than 1,000 Starbucks locations. They were doing it initially at the 16 company-owned stores in Seattle and Northern California. Now they're doing it at 1,002 coffee shops inside Target stores. I don't know why that is. Oh, maybe because Target owns those. So I get it. It's probably because you can then go to one franchisee instead of 100 or something.
I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe they're just testing it out for us.
Yeah.
I'd like Apple to be more location aware, though, with the iPhone. So my beef always is if I go to the car that's Bluetooth enabled, I have to switch the Bluetooth on in the car. And, obviously you always have your keypad lock on when you're outside of the house. But when you come back into the house, you take off the keypad lock and you switch off the Bluetooth.
Right.
I'd like it just to be location aware. When
smart.
I'm at home, which is at these GPS coordinates,
lock up.
Switch all this off, make it more useful.
That's brilliant. I tried something today, which really was cool. I have Bluetooth audio in my car, in the Ford, the Sync, and I had the phone. My Android phone is the phone on Bluetooth. I could have another device. I had my iPad, and I was listening to audio from my iPad. When I get in my car now, the iPad plays music, and the phone does phone. So that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And with this nice new pedometer app, I'll know exactly how many steps I've taken.
It's really funny.
This is the world's largest pedometer app. Takes the entire 1024 by 768 screen of an iPad to tell you how many steps you've walked. All right, I threw that in. I don't know why I said that. I just had a huge pedometer.
You can get the Scotty vest now, can't you, with the iPad?
Yeah, carry it in your big pocket.
Ouch.
Gives you a big butt. It's the big butt pocket. Hey, here's some really good news for gamers. Valve has said, they've been beta, and I wasn't able to get into the beta, but Steam for the Mac. Steam is a really great gaming platform for the PC. Almost all games that come out for the PCs are available via Steam. You have a Steam account. You buy the games. You download them. You don't have to go to the store. Here's the cool thing. If you've got multiple PCs with multiple Steam accounts, you can download that game on any of them. Steam says that's going to work for the Mac, too. So if you have the game on a PC, it'll work on the Mac. The lobbies will be non-denominational, Mac or PC. You'll be able to play against PC gamers on your Mac. And all of that now is going out of beta, according to Gama Sutra, May 12th. In just a few days, you'll be able to get Steam. Now, the bad news is the only game right now is Portal. But they say they will do same-day Mac versions of games as they roll them out going forward. This is huge. This puts Mac back in the gaming platform. And, it explains why these new MacBooks have such great NVIDIA GPUs, much better GPUs than Apple's used in the past.
I just ordered mine.
Me too. And this is why, by the way.
I really don't need this. But
I don't need it either. I don't want it.
I'm sure I can sell my other laptop and it'll be fine. Exactly. If anyone wants to buy my old laptop, let's do it.
So what'd you get, the 15, the 13?
I got the 15 because I travel, and the 17 was too big, but the 15, it was good.
I really wanted a 13, but I also really wanted a Core i5 or i7.
Yeah, I was also debating on whether to get the anti-glare screen.
I got the glary high-res screen.
I did too. Yeah, that's what I went with. But I just really enjoyed the matte screen from my previous MacBook Pro.
You know who has the 15 i7 is Jammer B, who works for us, and he got the high-res screen, glossy, unbelievable. It looks spectacular.
I'm glad I went with that.
It looks have you reviewed them, Chris? Have you looked at them?
Macworld has looked at them, and they're certainly faster. I'm a matte screen kind of guy, and I haven't seen one yet, and I want to see exactly what, because it's not really matte, it's non-glossy, and I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. So
what does that mean?
Would like to see how that looks, because I'm just even finding my iPad too glossy in certain situations.
Yeah, I took a look at the 17-inch because I have a theory that because when I'm away, I mean, I don't travel that much. When I do go away, it's normally away for a week and I need to do video and stuff. So I sort of realized this on the last trip that I could actually get away now with the 17-inch machine. I started off with the 17-inch machine, but it was too heavy. It was just too difficult to carry around. But now that the iPad is there, I mean, that's the machine that you carry around all day. If you go to a conference or to a trade show or something, you know, you go to your hotel, your portable desktop rather than your laptop, which would, you know, I'm thinking of getting a 17-inch i7, stays at the hotel, and your iPad goes away with you. You video on your phone or whatever, then you go back to base, and then you do your post-production stuff. So very much I see now as the laptop as I don't need to worry about carrying the laptop because it's going to be in my hand luggage. I wheel it onto the plane, fly to where I'm going, but go to the hotel. You know, I've never carried it. It's all on wheels. And, you know, the iPad is the portable device that I'll be carrying around all day to answer my emails and stuff, and then just use that as the sort of the main machine back at base. So I'm probably going to go for the 17-inch. And I did actually go into my local Apple shop and had a look at the glossy next to the anti-glare. I always thought the anti-glare thing was a little bit ugly because it's not the complete glass surround. They have a silver bezel that goes around the outside. And I seem to remember the very first ones that came out. It looked slightly ugly. Whether or not they've restyled it or not, I'm not sure, but it looks fine now. I've got no problem with the appearance of the machine. And the anti-glare makes a huge difference. It really does. It's quite an eye-opener how much of a difference it actually does make.
And the 17-inch too, it's so much lighter than the ones before.
They're really thin now, aren't they?
It is a lot lighter.
Yeah. So you got the 15, I got the 15, Don got the 17.
Well, I've got it on hold because I decided to go to WWDC this year, so it's sort of on hold.
Okay. Yeah, they finally announced WWDC dates, like as close as they could to the actual date.
Yeah, 5 weeks notice.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's tough. I presume that we will see any rumors about what we'll see at WWDC. Will we see OS 10.6 or 10.7? I guess it would be, right? Will we? I know we'll see iPhone 4. More about that. Will we see the new iPhone? Any thoughts?
Well, since we already saw it.
Yeah, right. iPhone 4 we know, and we've seen the iPhone itself. Maybe, sort of. We don't know for sure.
Well, they've changed the emphasis this year, haven't they? They really are looking solely at the mobile platform. They're very much looking at the iPhone and the iPad. And the thing that disappointed me, though, and I can appreciate why they might do that, they might need to focus all their attention on mobile for now. You know, they've only got limited resource, so, you know, this year, let's focus on iPhone and iPad, and then next year, perhaps when they're closer to releasing a new version of the OS, we'll focus more on the Mac. But the strange thing to me was to leave the Mac developers out of the Apple Design Award thing. There's only awards now for iPhone and iPad apps, not for Mac apps.
Boy, is that a strong message, huh?
It's crazy. It surely wouldn't have been that difficult for them to include Mac applications. I just can't understand. I don't understand the logic behind that. Yes, focus on the iPhone and the iPad for the conference, but to leave the Mac developers out of the Design Award, it seems crazy to me.
Well, it's an app world. That's why I was saying we're kind of in a post-PC world. I really think Apple still will have to sell OS 10 and desktops, but where's the money, right? Where's the money being made? Chris Breen, they're making it off of you on apps. I saw your tweet of the top 12 grossing iPad apps. I have purchased 8.
Yeah.
I was just counting mine. Let me see. Of the top 10, I have 6 of the top 10. I love it that Apple tells you what the top grossing apps are. So you know.
Well, I mean, it's almost a no-brainer that you're going to have 3 of them because you're going to have iWork.
Right.
Even though I'll never use numbers, I sort of feel like, well, I should have it anyway.
So that's number 1, 2, and 3 is Pages, Numbers, Keynote.
Right.
I didn't buy Real Racing HD because I've done enough driving.
Did that. I got that one.
Scrabble for the iPad.
I bought that one too because it's a good app to show people.
Yeah.
It's like an example of what the iPad can do.
It is a good demo, yeah. Scrabble, I bought Words with Friends instead of Scrabble because I was a cheapskate. Log Me in Ignition for $30. You didn't buy that, did you, Chris?
No, on the tweet I basically said either I'm a cheapskate or I have no use for productivity apps that cost more than $13.99. So it really is. I looked through what I purchased, and most everything was $10 and less.
Things, I didn't buy Things, but I know you did, Don, because you did a screencast on that.
Yes, and I actually did buy it as well. So
$20. Woo. I bought the desktop, and it kind of bugs me when they charge you whatever it was, $30 for a desktop, and then another $20 for the iPad app. It's like, come on, guys, let's not get too greedy here. Plants vs Zombies, yeah, I bought that. Pinball, yeah.
I love the pinball game.
That's and they just updated it, Justine, so that it does the full thing in portrait mode.
I just got
it doesn't move around anymore if you don't want it to.
You can pinch, I guess. I'm going to try it because I'm downloading it too.
Oh, nice.
We're multitaskers. Omnigraphel, yeah, you got to buy it. I'll never use that. You got to buy it, all right. Major League Baseball, got to buy that, even if you hate baseball.
I skipped that one.
Yeah. X-Plane for the iPad. So which ones didn't you buy, Chris? You didn't buy Things. You didn't buy Log Me In.
Right. I didn't get X-Plane. I have to look at the list again to see what else is on there. But
it's so sad. Hundreds of dollars. I'm sure I've spent more now on apps than I.
Oh yeah, I just went through and I thought, well, somehow I need this for work. Like I need that pinball game for work and the driving game for work. But my daughter would really love this because she loves Plants vs. Zombies in the little screen, and she would really love it in the big screen, even though it's exactly the same game. I think once you get on that roll, and Apple makes it pretty easy.
It's too easy.
You enter your password, and then you've got about 3 minutes where you just go bang, 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 bang.
It's all free. It's all free. The next 10 are free.
Now, yeah. Somehow it seems like, no, I'm paying money now when I'm going tap, 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 but everything after that for the next 3 minutes, it's like, the red light's gone on, and come on, and you can get them all for free.
That's why iPay scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's too easy. But of course, that's what Amazon's doing. It's what everybody's doing. I was thinking, how would you validate your purchase? Of course, you could take the phone out and there could be a QR code on there or something like that to validate that you are who you say you are. But Amazon's doing this new thing where you have 2 words that are your magic words. Yeah. And I can't figure out why they're doing it. Now I just thought of why they're doing it. So the clerk could say, what's your magic words?
It's a Groucho Marx tribute.
Yeah. Say the magic word and everything's free for the next 3 minutes.
Exactly.
All right, we're gonna get our picks of the week in just a second. I think we've already heard a couple of them.
I already said mine.
That's okay. It's okay. I'm sure you could find 1 or 2 more should you feel like it. Before we do that, though, I would like to do my Audible pick of the week. Audible, is that great bookstore that you can go to, and 75,000 titles. They'll read it to you just like dear old mom used to. And there's something about absorbing a book by listening to it that just brings it to life for me. I'm going to give you a couple of choices because we have this deal with Audible. If you go to audible.com/MacBreak, where you can sign up for the Gold account, that's a book a month. And the deal they make is that the first book is free. So, and you get to keep it. You can cancel it any time. So it really never needs to cost you anything. It's yours forever. And so that's kind of really the fun thing about now listening to the show and saying, well, what will my first book be? And there are some really good choices. So I've got a serious one and I've got a light one for you. Go to audible.com and browse around. Of course, you get a credit towards a book. You can, some people are very interested in Laura Bush's book, and she talks about the car crash and everything, and Spoken from the Heart. That's there, and Laura Bush reads it. So if that, you're interested in politics, there's some good choices there. I'm reading The Time Traveler's Wife, which was a movie that I still haven't seen, but is a wonderful kind of sci-fi book about a guy who can travel in and out of time. There's an abridged version, but get the unabridged version. It's very nicely produced. A male voice for the guy and a female voice for the woman, for Claire. So Henry's and Claire are both represented. It's a really enjoyable 17 hours. I've really liked it. Now, that's the light book. There's a very serious book that I am reading now, too. I like to read one nonfiction, one fiction, and this book is very powerful. I heard about it when I heard an interview on Fresh Air with the director, Catherine Bigelow, of Hurt Locker, and she said this was the book that inspired Hurt Locker. It's written by Chris Hedges, who was a war correspondent through a number of wars, and really realized that he had become a war addict. That the process of war was so seductive that it made life seem so meaningful. He had some real issues come up about, and it's a fascinating book, and I think a must-read for everybody. He's not a pacifist. He doesn't say all war is bad, but he says we got to be really careful because it's so seductive. War is a force that gives us meaning is the name of the book, and I just found this very powerful and fascinating, and I think a must-read. He's a very good reporter. Chris Hedges, War is a Force That Gives Us Meaning. So there's a couple of books. So something serious, something not so serious, something fun. And that's the point, is that once you start listening to books at audible.com, life becomes enriched. You hear great audio all the time as you're in the car, as you're in the garden, as you're working out in the gym. That's where I was listening to Chris's book this morning. It was on the exercise bicycle. Try it today, audible.com/MacBreak. Your first one's free. I think you'll enjoy it. Now for our picks of the week, and I'm going to go clockwise, starting with Mr. Chris Breen in the upper left-hand corner. Hey, Chris.
Hello. Okay, so I've mentioned this already, and I'll mention it again. I like the Rhapsody app.
I do too.
This is a new version of it. It came out last week. This is Rhapsody 2.0. And the idea is that you have to sign up for a Rhapsody account. The least expensive option is $10 a month. And for that, you get unlimited streaming of audio. The audio streams are 64 kilobits per second AAC. With that, you can also download anything you like onto one mobile device for that $10 account. If you choose to, you can pay $15 a month, and that gives you download privileges to 3 devices, as well as streaming to 3 mobile devices.
That's what I need to do. That's what I need to do, yeah.
So you put it on your iPhone, you can put it on your iPad, and you can put it on your iPod Touch for $15 a month. I've been using Rhapsody for 3 or 4 years now, mostly with my Sonos system. And I love it. I love having access to everything. As you can see in the background, I've got a pretty significant record collection.
Yeah.
But I don't care how big your music library is. It's not as big as Rhapsody's library. They have 9 million some odd tracks. And the fact that you can listen to anything you like, you can put on channels. So, for example, this last weekend, I was painting a bedroom, and I spent 2 days doing it. And I put on the 60s channel for a while to listen to some truly awful 60s music. And then I had an acoustic sunrise channel that's listening to, sensitive people singing about tragedy. And it's wonderful. And even though it's 64 kilobits, I had an iPhone hooked up to some Audio Engine A5 speakers that are like, it sounded really good, perfectly acceptable. And just the variety for that little amount of money per month, I think, is tremendous. And now the fact that you can download songs you want onto an iPad, iPhone, or iPod Touch and take it with you is a tremendous value.
Yeah, I'm such a cheapskate. I thought $5. Well, I'm definitely doing that. But then I found that I can only put it on one device for that. So I thought, But the music quality is good, right? I mean, it's full bandwidth. It seems like.
Well, it's 64 kilobits. So
it's 64.
It's not,
okay.
Yeah, it's not 128. So
see, I pay for Pandora, so I get the 192 kilobit.
Right. Yeah, and I have that as well through my Sonos system.
But you can't choose the music.
Right. And this is, you can get anything you want.
Right.
I mean, you can follow artists around. You can check out people's back catalogs. It's if you're a music geek, it is an amazing thing. I love Napster too for the same reason. Napster's only $5 a month, but they don't have an iPhone app. But now they have an iPhone app. Apple let them through, and downloads, which I think a lot of people didn't expect would be possible.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Chris Breen. Good recommendation. Rhapsody for iPad and iPhone. Moving to Justine Ezarik.
I already mentioned mine, but it's the Pinball HD.
So awesome.
I don't know why this game is so fun. I think for me, I think it's like a $3 or $4 app, I believe. But when I was younger, I used to love playing pinball, but I would only have so many quarters.
Right.
So you pay like $4 and you have unlimited plays. There's 3 different levels. They're both pretty fun. I don't know. I really, really like it. But there's also another app that I've been enjoying as May is Mustache May. There is a mustache application. It's called Stashtastic. And you can add a mustache onto any photo. And there's tons of different mustaches that you can choose from. There's also little accessories. You can give yourself a mullet. You can give yourself different hairstyles.
Oh, I like that.
It's surprisingly addicting. So I definitely recommend it.
Is it universal iPad and iPhone?
You know what? I believe there is an iPhone version too, but
it's the official mustache app of the American Mustache Institute.
It's pretty fun. It really is.
Wow. So are you going to grow a mustache for Mustache May?
I've been trying, but it hasn't worked out so well, so I've had to resort to the application.
And there's Movember too. I didn't, it's interesting how much mustaching is going on these days. Should I grow a mustache? I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe.
Makes you look like a porn guy, doesn't it?
Steady on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Mustache. Maybe it's just me. Maybe what does he look like with the mustache? By the way, that's George Bush. He's in retirement now, and he's always wanted to have a mustache, and he's grown quite a doozy. So you get some choices. Here's Zac Efron with a beard.
Way too entertaining.
It is. You know what? I could see the appeal of this. Oh, look, this guy's got a Don McAllister. He stole your mustache. That's the Don McAllister, isn't it?
Plus, Don is a small child.
I want a mullet and a stash. Don McAllister, who is not a porn guy, he's the guy behind Screencasts Online. Despite the mustache. Have you had one all your life?
Since I was 7.
Wow. That's impressive.
No, yeah, sort of. No, I used to have a beard, and then it's
Really?
sort of a goatee, and then down to a mustache.
I thought you were kind of a hippie.
I was a hippie, yes.
Yes,
Very much so. Denim waistcoats, the whole bit.
Denim waistcoat. Wow.
Yeah. Long hair. Oh, you want to see some of the early photos. But anyway, we digress.
You got to post those. I want to see them. Otherwise, we're going to have to resort to the mulletizer.
No.
It's amazing.
That's
it's
Martin
amazing.
Sargent, by the way, there on the right in the mulletizer. Is it not? Am I wrong?
I don't know.
I believe that is Martin Sargent. Yes, I believe so. Or somebody looks strangely like him. Go ahead, Don.
Right, my pick. Actually, just a quick correction about Fraser Spear's application. It was Viewfinder.
Viewfinder.
That was the application that I was mentioning before. Yeah, I'd previously chosen that as a pick. Right, my pick for this week is, it's not new, actually. It's a computational engine called Wolfram Alpha, which is both a web service, but there's also an iPhone app and an iPad app. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up again, people might have seen it when it first came out and thought it was fantastic, but they actually priced the iPhone app at, I think it was around about £50 or £60. It was really expensive.
And it didn't make sense because you could do it on the web for free. I just didn't understand.
Yeah. So anyway, they've had a change of policy, and you can actually get the app for both the iPad and also for the iPhone now for something like £1.19 or something.
Okay,
so they've literally priced it now in line with a normal iPhone or iPad application.
Oh, that's good.
And it's just so handy to have around, even if you're not into heavy maths or research. It's just a fantastic application. There's a video on the website over at wolframalpha.com, which takes you through the things it can do. And it basically takes sort of freeform text. You can ask it a question, a mathematical question or a question about geography or something, and it will return the answers in the best form that it can and give you lots of different choices. So if you're researching things about population or growth national product and things, it's really very clever, and it's beautiful. You can see it there. On the actual iPad app itself, they've done a great implementation. Really, really nice.
I'm going to buy it right now because I didn't realize it had gotten cheap again. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is the advantage of the iPad app over, say, using the web?
It's just such a nice presentation.
Just pretty. Okay.
It really is pretty, yeah. And they've built in an extended keyboard. In fact, I've got mine here now. If I show you the keyboard to this, let's just tap in here. So you sort of get I don't know if you can see it properly here. Yeah, probably not. It's a bit bright. You get sort of like the standard keyboard at the bottom, and then some additional keys at the top, which are sort of like scientific and numerics. But if you tap on more, you actually get, look at all those rows of
look
symbols.
at that. There's buttons and stuff. So if you're a student and you want mathematical,
it's fantastic for students. Yeah. But not just physics and statistics. As I say, geographic information. Even dumb things like I always struggle with percentages. I just type in 25% of 343, and it comes out, and it just just type in the sentence, and it gives you the answer. So it's a great little app to especially for that price now.
I didn't show, and I should show your pick, Justine. This is the new. I just got the new one. Now they said if you pinch, because this is the problem with if you do it this way, you get to see the whole machine. This is giving us a tour of the machine. Which one's your favorite? The deep?
I like the deep one. The deep ocean.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at. Oh, now I have to. What did it do? It took me out of it.
Oh, I think it's taking you to the site.
Why is it taking me to the store? I don't want that. Let's play the game.
It's kind of a weird interface because to switch from this
go.
is actually the game that I was talking about. If you tap in the left-hand corner, that's how you pause the game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Let's ignore that. Okay, so there's the jungle style. But now, see, I want to. Am I locked? Oh, I'm locked. Okay, so that's the problem. Was it as you play, it zooms around a lot. And that
kind of. I felt like I was going to have a seizure.
Apparently, they said now if you can pinch. Oh,
it's a little insane.
But it's really fun if you like pinball. So I'll have to find the new user interface. Okay, enough of that. Stop. Well, now I was going to mention pinball as my pick, or perhaps...
Sorry.
No. We rule. Well, that's the problem is there's so many great games. Have you played Galcon Fusion yet?
I haven't.
This is a fun one. Robert Scoble's son Patrick turned me on to this one. It's a puzzle game, so we'll restart with a new game. So I'm green, and the bad guys are red, and I have to take over planets before they do. So you do them by invading them, but see, they're invading planets. These are neutral planets, and eventually we're going to have a war. You can double tap to have all your planets invade a planet. Oh, they're coming for me. It's a little bit like playing Ender's Game for reals. Oh, no, the bad guys. Oh, they're around. Oh, my goodness, the humanity. So it's a lot of fun, and there are a variety of different puzzles you can play with this. This is called Galcon. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. I don't want to lose my planets. All right, I'll stop playing. This is called Galcon Fusion. That's a lot of fun. You can see I have quite a few games on here, and I am downloading the Wolfram Alpha, so that'll be a new game for me to play. We'll just give you a little view of this now that I got it loaded on here. You're right. If you tilt it just right, it's actually a pretty legible screen, Don.
Yeah.
You can actually shoot the screen pretty well. And so this is the extra rows of buttons.
Yeah, and if you tap more, you see
there's still a little tiny bit of room up there. Kind of like using Microsoft Word with all the toolbars turned on. You just got a little tiny room. That's really cool. Look at all these symbols. I don't even know what most of them mean.
Yeah, same here.
Wow. Man, woman, birth, death, infinity equals... Oh, Ben Casey. Wow. So that is a joke that no one except us old farts will get.
Actually, if you use the is it the Elements application?
Elements has it built in too, yeah. But it's not
Wolfram built in. Yeah.
It's not the same though, because it's only about that particular.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's right. Just brings back the information about that particular element. But
right.
Check out the website. There's a great video on there from the guy who actually invented it, and he showed you some of the example stuff.
Stephen Wolfram. You know, when this launched, I interviewed Stephen.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
What a treat that was. I should dredge that up because he's so brilliant. I think one of the tricks with Wolfram Alpha is just understanding, kind of using it enough so that you kind of get what to search for. Because when you first start searching for stuff with it, it doesn't make any, it's like you have to, it's not Google.
Yeah.
You have to kind of know what to do. Thank you, Don, for being here. Really appreciate it. Don McAllister is the host at Screencasts Online. They have plenty of free screencasts, but you can also subscribe. We encourage you to do so because there's a whole bunch of paid material, too. He's got that freemium service that he uses, and I think it's a really useful site. Screencast.
Can I just plug my other blog?
Yes.
Screencastonline.com, which is my main site. That's my day job. That's where I do the video tutorials. But I've just started a Tumblr blog all to do with the iPad. Because, again, I don't want to cram the iPad down people's throats, especially over here in the UK and Europe when we still haven't got it yet. So I've split off a separate little blog called allabouttheiPad.tumblr.com. And in there, I'm just putting some videos up, some information, just basically musings and ramblings about the iPad. So
Don, you'll have to be part of our iPad show.
Yeah, I'd love to.
We'll have to do a view across the pond or something. Yeah, by the way, that was another thing I was going to mention. The new Dropbox now has Dropbox updated to a universal application. If you're a Dropbox customer, really fantastic. Really much. It makes Dropbox a must-have now, I think.
Yeah.
Great way to get files onto the iPad. But see, I learned that from
my first iPad video, which is how to take the iPad out of its case. Which is that one.
I think, we laugh, but Virginia, that 99-year-old, needs some help probably getting it out of the case. Now she's got a video.
I struggled with it initially, but it's there is a little easy way to get it out.
Oh, there's a trick.
See? I always feel like I'm going to rip it.
Yeah, I don't use the Apple case. I hate the Apple case. I lose.
Oh, I love the Apple case. No, it's great.
I like it a lot, too.
As long as you don't mind it being a bit grubby now.
How about, look at this case. I'm going to show you this case. I got to get the camera going here. Hold on a second. This is the Marware EcoView case, and I have the Apple case. I bought them. It's leather, doesn't have an Apple logo, so you can't tell that. It's got a little Moleskine rubber band, so it holds it nice and tight. And it's using the same technique that Apple uses, except this is nice leather. It's only $10 more than the Apple case to hold it in the frame method, which I like. Now, the thing that's key about the Apple, of course, is the ability to stand it up. And this has that. It does it a little bit differently. It has a little stand built in. But it does a very nice job, and I think I believe you shouldn't get a case that doesn't have a stand because you do want to tilt it at an angle, and it should be sturdy enough that you can type at that angle. This also has something kind of unusual, and I think it's kind of designed for the factory floor or something. It's got a strap that you can put your hand in and hold the iPad one-handed. You see, I have a little. I use it to hold a cleaning cloth because that's another thing you need. But this is the EcoView from Marware, and actually this is my favorite case, similar to the Apple case in functionality, but it's leather instead of rubber.
Have you seen the Dodo cases?
No.
They're handmade. I just saw these last night, actually, and it kind of looks just like the Moleskine notebooks. It has like the bound hardback cases, and it looks really cool. And it's made of like bamboo and I think leather as well.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah,
yes,
they're really nice.
Somebody sent me a link to that. Have you bought one yet?
I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure if it would be heavier because it's made of like bamboo.
Well, bamboo is a very light wood, I believe.
But I mean, the Apple case itself, though, is so light, I feel like it's not. Right. You don't have anything on it.
Yeah, the Apple case is kind of like being naked, isn't it?
But this one looks, I do like
pretty.
these cases.
Isn't that pretty?
Really nice.
Yeah. Really nicely done. There's going to be a brisk market in iPad cases. There's no doubt about that. So what is it? Allaboutipads.com?
All about the iPad.
iPad.tumblr.com. Good. And Don, we'll make sure that you are a regular on our iPad show.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about that. Yeah. Justine Ezarik, I think you will be too. Any iPad fanatic should be.
I'm a big fan.
Yep. Justine is iJustine.com. That's the place to go to find out about everything she's doing. Anything particular you'd like to plug today?
Not much. Just check out my blog and you can watch my YouTube videos if you're bored.
That's the hard sell. Thank you, Justine. Always great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Chris Breen is the Mac Daddy Senior Editor for Macworld. Go to macworld.com. I know that much. He's also a talented musician. You got any gigs coming up?
Yeah, actually, we're going to be in Golden Gate Park.
Oh, neat.
I think May 31st for some kind of Zen festival or something.
How fun.
Yeah, in the band shell. It should be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's really neat. So that's probably a free concert.
Yeah, the name of the band is System 9.
System 9 from Outer Space. Oh,
yes.
No, that's a movie. Chris, it's great to have you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Always great to be here.
Right, take care. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget, you can watch us do this show. We do it. I got squeezed. We do it live every Tuesday at about 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 1800 UTC at live.twit.tv. But do subscribe. It's the best way to get it, either in iTunes or whatever other podcast aggregator you use. Just search for Twit or go to our webpage, twit.tv. And we have a subscribe button on the show, twit.tv/MBW. And there's a lot of other good shows there. I have a feeling people watch their favorite show and forget that Twit is about 20 different shows. We do a good show on Google these days. We do it every Wednesday afternoon, This Week in Google, with the great Gina Trapani of Lifehacker and Jeff Jarvis, author of What Would Google Do? And if you're interested in Google and the cloud and what Google's up to, that's a really great show. So I want to give that one a little plug too. That's at twit.tv if you want to know more. Thank you everybody for being here. Now get back to work. Break time is over. This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 193 for May 4th, 2010. May the 4th be with you. Actually, I forgot it's Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Sorry.